Welcome everyone to MRM Sports. I'm your host, Ronald Tim. It's matchweek 5 of the Champions League, man. It's Champions League football. If your team is not there, if your team is not in the Champions League, I'm sorry, but you have to do better next time around, man. It's the premier, the creme de la creme of European football facing each other, man. This is such a huge game. If your team is in the Premier League and if it's in Champions League, I mean, it's a huge game, especially if you're a Chelsea fan. But I think, for me, the pick to be the Juventus versus Benfica game, because Juventus can afford to lose this game. But then before we talk about which team is playing more, let's just go through the games that are playing tonight, match day 1 of game week 5, man. We have an early kickoff of Salzburg hosting Chelsea. Then we have another early kickoff of Sevilla versus FC Copenhagen. And then a 9 p.m. kickoff with Dinamo Zagreb versus AC Milan. With Benfica versus Juventus. Celtic versus Shakhtar Donetsk. We have Borussia Dortmund hosting the City. That will be a crack of a game. We have Leipzig versus Real Madrid. Another interesting game to watch. We have PSG versus Maccabi Haifa. I mean, looking at the groups, the Champions League groups, man. Let me just start with the Group E, which is the Chelsea, Salzburg, Milan, and Dinamo Zagreb group, man. I mean, the point difference in this group is quite tricky. If you're a Chelsea fan, Chelsea is on 7 points. Salzburg is on 6 points. AC Milan on 4 and Dinamo Zagreb on 4. And Chelsea is playing Salzburg, Milan is playing Dinamo Zagreb. So whoever wins those 2 matches has a clearer chance for finishing second or first. I mean, if Dinamo Zagreb wins this match against Chelsea, Chelsea drops to second because I think they have a better head-to-head against Milan. So even if Milan beats Dinamo Zagreb, Chelsea remain in second. And then now it's a tricky game against Dinamo Zagreb, who surprisingly Chelsea lost to in the first round of on the game week 1, match day 1, man. So again, it's a huge game for Chelsea. I think in as much as Potter did well against AC Milan in game week 3 and game week 4, I think this is another key game. I think at the moment every game Potter plays feels like a final for Chelsea, because we're such in a peculiar position that any bad result Chelsea can have, their season can derail, can just go off rail, man. I mean, imagine if Chelsea loses this game and then they draw against Dinamo Zagreb last match week at home, then they might find themselves in the Europa League. So again, I think this is time for Potter to show that he is a good manager. I mean, the responsibility comes coaching a big team like Chelsea is every game you're just on. You're as good as the next game you win. I mean, if Potter wins this game, then I think not all is forgiven, but then we're still in the right direction, despite poor back-to-back draws against Aston Villa and Manchester United in the Premier League. So Potter needs to field a strong team. Some quick news I saw. I think Koulibaly is out injured. Of course, Kante is not in. I think who else is injured? Okay, else might be. Those are the top players we don't have. So I expect the squad really that featured against Manchester United in the Premier League to also feature against Dinamo Zagreb, so against Salzburg. For me, I would love to see him go to maybe a 4-3-3. I would definitely love to see. I think in the midfield, he has to go with the midfield that he changed in the 36th minute against Manchester United. I would love to see Jorginho, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and Kovacic playing that midfield 3, or maybe he can sub one for each for another. And going forward, or even, why doesn't he start Mount in the midfield? Let's say Jorginho, Kovacic and Mount, and then at least he gives you more attacking players to field on. I think you can then in the wings, you can start with your Pulisic, your Sterling and your Oba up front, or even maybe your Broja, but I think Oba should start this game. Because in as much as Chelsea are keeping clean sheets, okay, we did consider against United and let go, but then we've been keeping clean sheets as of late. I would love to see Chelsea having more creative players, because our chances have been creating. I think against United, I started to think of any clear-cut chance we created. Maybe because United have been on a good form, but then I started to think of any chance Chelsea managed to create against United. And even against Villa, really, even though we defeated Villa. No, I think the draw was against Brentford, sorry for saying Villa earlier. Against Brentford, we did create chances, but then we're not so clinical. I would love to see Chelsea create at least about 6 clear-cut chances. If our players miss those chances, then we can say we have a striking problem. But then the fact that we create 1 or 2 chances and then our strikers miss it, that's a huge problem. I think how many touches really to the Opa have of the game on the game against United, and how many chances did he have? I don't think he had any clear-cut chances. Maybe one or two fairly way, but those were like half chances. So for me, in as much as we're away from home, I would love to see Graham Potter just risk it a bit, go with Jorginho and Kovacic, and then you play your mount next to them, then Pulisic, Sterling, and Opa up front. At least that way, I can say, okay, he's going for it, because we need to top the group. One thing with Chelsea, I don't want to find ourselves in a scenario where you finish second, and then the lack of the draw is against us in the round of 16. So we need to try and top the group. It's better to win this game, and then the home game against Maccabi Haifa, a draw isn't even good for us. So that the last game against Dinamo Zagreb, a draw would be good for us, or even a win would be just an extra bonus, And then looking at the game again, another game I think I will talk about. For me, the AC Milan versus, still in the same group with Chelsea, the AC Milan versus Dinamo Zagreb game. Zagreb have shown that they are a good team. Dinamo Zagreb have shown that they are a good team. The fact that they're on same points with AC Milan, it really, I think everyone thought they'll be whipping boys of the group. But then for them to be in this position in the group, in as much as they're fourth, but then they're still on same points, just 3 points behind Salzburg. And if you saw the games they played against Salzburg, they were tight games. They weren't games where they just lost them at will. They were tight games. And I would expect them to give, in as much as I think AC Milan will be home on this one. Let me just have a look. No, Dinamo Zagreb is at home. So I expect them to give AC Milan a run for their money. And if Milan is not careful, man, I mean, they are Italian giants. But the way they played against Chelsea, if they're not careful in this game, imagine if Dinamo Zagreb shocks AC Milan and AC Milan ends up falling down to the group. I mean, if Dinamo Zagreb shocks AC Milan, then you bet the final matchweek 6 game will be a cracker between Salzburg and AC Milan, because all of them will be hoping Chelsea defeats Dinamo Zagreb and they do them a favor and one of them goes through, man. I think that's another huge game in the Champions League. And then, of course, let me just jump into this game. I really want to talk about this game. The Benfica versus Juventus. I mean, Benfica, that's Group H. That's Group H. So I'm jumping in the Group G and F. Let me just talk about Group H a bit. I mean, it's PSG on 8 points. It's Benfica on 8 points. Juventus on 3 points. And Maccabi Haifa on 3 points. I mean, if Juventus want to give themselves any chance of being in the round of 16, this is a must win. This is a must win for them against Benfica. I mean, if they defeat Benfica, they jump to 6 points. End up hoping PSG defeats Maccabi Haifa, so that PSG qualify automatically. And then maybe PSG might field a weaker team against Juventus in match week 6, man. So for Juventus, I mean, I think this definitely is Allegri's biggest game of the season so far. And Juventus away to Benfica as well. So this is a huge, I think, the funny thing with Juventus, they still have good players. I mean, they have Di Maria, for me, has always been an excellent player. Like, if you ask anyone, I always tell people, if Di Maria had played in the World Cup final in 2014, I think Argentina could have won that game against Germany. I think for me, Di Maria has always been, I think in our lifetime, Di Maria is definitely the most underrated player. Look at all the top players he's played with. He's played with Ronaldo, Messi, Neymar, Mbappe, whoever you can think of who's a brilliant player. He's played with Ramos, he played with Bale, he's played with all the top players he has played with. All the top players. I mean, the players of the 21st century, if you think of them like the ones who have set the bar. Okay, not the 21st century per se, because you also have your Ronaldinho and stuff. But then Di Maria is a key player for Juventus. And if Di Maria turns it on, then Benfica have a problem. I mean, I think, what's the second name they got from Torino last season? He's also a good player. In as much as it's still a team which is now evolving, I think they're still suffering from the effects of having Ronaldo in their side. Not disrespect to Cristiano Ronaldo, of course. But then they're still in that transition period. But they're still a dangerous side. And they have to show that the old lady can still sing. They have to show that the old lady can still step up and get some valuable points, because they need the 3 points. I mean, if they lose this game and then it's Juventus for the for the Europa League. Again, if they lose this point and then they fall down to the Europa League will be an interesting group next season, next year, man. It will be a key tournament to watch. So for me, Juventus have to win this game. But then Benfica have showed that they are willing to fight the big boys. I mean, they drew against PSG. In all honesty, I thought PSG would win both games, but then they drew against them. And then still on the same group, I mean, PSG versus Maccabi Haifa. Last time around when these two team plays, I really thought PSG would just wipe the floor with Maccabi, but then Maccabi are proving. Again, it's another team similar to Dinamo Zagreb. In as much as they're on 3 points, I don't think for them the target was to get out of the group as in progress to the round of 16 because they've seen the drawn with PSG, Juventus, Benfica. For them, the target has to be Europa League. So again, you see, if they manage to get some miracle result against PSG, that sets them in a good position to actually finish above Juventus, and then Juventus completely fall off the Champions League. So again, this is a bit interesting game, but I think I would give it to PSG really. And then let's talk Manchester City versus Borussia Dortmund. I mean, last time around these two teams played. I think City's away. City's going to Germany to face Dortmund. And Dortmund have shown that they are a big team. Like, in as much as they lost Haaland, Dortmund have shown that they still have good players. You know, Dortmund is that one team, I think, in Europe really, that can recruit well, sell well, recruit well. In as much as they're playing, you can see, yes, Haaland is not there. But then they still have a good team. They still have a solid team. I mean, every transfer window seems like Dortmund have a player they can sell to any big team for each man. Of course, this coming transfer window, I think the June, July transfer window, next season really. The winter transfer window, depending on which part of the world you are. I mean that's why they call it the summer transfer window. But then for us, it's the winter transfer window. I think they'll be looking forward to moving Jude Bellingham to the highest bid. I mean, for them it has to be the highest bid. Someone who will pop up with £100 million or 100 million euros. I mean, that's Dortmund for you. But then their game against City, in as much as last time around, City won the game in matchweek. I think it was matchweek 2. Yeah, City won in the dying minutes of the game. If you remember, that Haaland flying kick goal, man. That was a huge goal for City. And this time around, I still expect Dortmund to give City a run for their money. I mean, looking at the group, City is on 10 points. Dortmund is on 7 points. I think Sevilla and Copenhagen basically be fighting for who finishes in Europa. I think City and Dortmund will go through as the top 2 of the group. But then again, it's still the battle of who will finish top. If imagine this, if City loses this game, let's say City lose 3-1, Dortmund become top of the group because of the goal difference between them and City. Not the goal difference, but then between the better head-to-head between them and City. So again, it's a huge game for City. I think Pep will field the strongest 11 he has to. For me, I think in as much as they are flying the Premier League, they're second, 2 points behind Arsenal, he knows he has to finish first in this group. The last thing Pep would want is finishing second, then having a tricky fixture in the round of 16, where now he has to try and balance, focus on the Champions League and the Premier League. But then we've always seen with Pep, every competition is huge, man. Even if he's playing a so-called weaker team, he will field his strongest team. I think the only disappointment for City was that draw against FC Copenhagen away from home. If they had won that game and they'll be on 12 points, really it would have matched City. I think it would have made it easier for Pep to focus more in the Premier League than the Champions League, you know, until, of course, round of 16 kicks off. But then that's a huge game. I expect Dortmund to give City a run for their money. I think Jude Bellingham, if Dortmund manages to post that midfield, if Jude Bellingham has a good game again, then that's a platform for Dortmund to build on. I think we've seen with this guy, man, in as much as he's still a young guy, what is he, 18, 19 thereabout. But then he's already has a brain of someone in his prime, and the way he moves, the way he glides with the ball. I would love for Chelsea to try and buy him. But then I think maybe Liverpool or City might be attractive to him, depending on how much you offer him and how much you offer Dortmund. But I would love for Chelsea, to try and bring him to the side. And then, of course, I think Sevilla and FC Copenhagen, again, I think Sevilla, for me, it's only natural that Sevilla fall to the Europa League where they do well. And again, that would be another key thing for the Premier League, because if Sevilla fall down there, then your Arsenals, your Manchester United, it's no longer that, okay, we'll go all the way to the semi-final and final. Sevilla is always that tricky team. You know, these Spanish teams, Sevilla, Villarreal in the Europa League, man, these Spanish teams, they master this competition. They're the masters of this competition. So Sevilla down there, they immediately, for me, they immediately become favorites for the Europa League. So again, it will be another key thing. And then, of course, man, Real Madrid versus Leipzig. What can you expect from Madrid, even if they're away from home? For me, I mean, I think Madrid are still favorites for the Champions League. In as much as you have a seat with Haaland, I think for me, I'll start focusing more on Real Madrid when they're through to the round of 16, because you expect them to through. I mean, in their group already, they are top of the group with 10 points. Leipzig was on 6 points, Shakhtar 5, Celtic 1. So again, I think Madrid is already through to the round of 16. I mean, they're just a class above the rest. And for me, what to be key is what they do in the January transfer window. Do they dip in their pockets and get a player, or they just believe, no, the squad we have is good enough and we'll go with the squad we have? Because again, that's a scary squad. I mean, in as much as the core players of that team has aged, I think what Madrid have done better than any side, I think, for me, in the world, maybe apart from Manchester City, is they recruit so much brilliant young players. I think you look at the squad. I remember the last time Madrid won the Champions League. I remember when they did the three-peat. At some point in the latter stages of the Champions League, they basically had two teams. One team for La Liga, one team for Champions League. I mean, you remember that season where Zinedine Zidane would just rotate your Ronaldo, your Benzema, all of them out. Income your Asensio, Morata, all these players. I mean, that's what Madrid do best. In as much as they've not been to the Galactico club where they sign all these huge players, man. Now they recruit young players in a smart way, where even if we phase out a Casemiro, we have Kamavinga, we have Tuchameni to come in. In as much as we phase out Bale, we still have Rodrigo, we still have what's his name, Vinicius Junior to come in. In as much as Hazard hasn't worked out, we still have Valverde to come in. That's what Real Madrid does, you know. And now, if you think about it, in the latter stages, your Hazard can still play. He's still a brilliant player. You can use him in the La Liga, and then you keep the finer players for the Champions League. So for Madrid, man, I think I'll focus on Madrid more in the round of 16. Against Leipzig, I expect them to defeat Leipzig, man. And then another game in this group, Celtic. I think Celtic, it's been a fun experience for them. I think in that group of Real Madrid, for me, let me just open the group quickly. I think in that group, really, the battle for Europa League is basically between Shakhtar Donetsk and Leipzig. I mean, I think that's the only interesting part about that group, because Madrid is doing Madrid things, man. But nonetheless, I think we expect matchweek 5 day one. We expect some entertaining football. I think the difference between UEFA Champions League and Premier League is, in as much as Premier League is exciting, I think at times in the UEFA you see more technical football, you see more different styles from all these teams around Europe. I mean, from different leagues, you see different styles, and there's a chance to really focus on to gauge where teams are. For example, Napoli. I think Napoli is the perfect example that if you focus solely on Premier League football, you might think Napoli is still a struggling side. You might think in your mind might tell you that, of course, maybe Juventus are still doing in the league. Napoli is just maybe there, 4th, 5th apart. But then Napoli is the team of the moment in the Champions League. So again, in day one of matchweek 5, we expect some quality football. I can't wait to see City play. I can't wait for Chelsea game. But then for me, I think the game that I'll tune on to the most has to be the Juventus versus Benfica game. I think for me, personally, that's the game for day one for me. I think that's the game I'll be looking forward to the most, and I can't wait to see this game, man. Guys, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. I'll give you like a reaction to the results, and we'll talk more about football, man. I can't wait for day 2. I can't wait to see Napoli play. I can't wait to see if Tottenham Hotspur will win again and go through, because I'm crossing my fingers that I would love to see how Conte reacts to a scenario where Spurs falls down, man. But don't forget to like video and subscribe to the channel. I'm your host, Ronald Dem, signing out.